going on? Screen Thumb here, back in my kitchen again today. We are making a massive, super epic pot of tomato sauce. So if you guys have been following my channel, you've seen me be putting large Ziploc bags away of Romas and San Marzanos into my freezer, harvested out of my garden. I grew a whack load of tomatoes this year, not as many as I'd hoped. Blossom end rot caused me to lose a lot, but I still harvested a ton. So I'm actually filming this intro after I've started making the sauce because all of the tomatoes were in Ziploc bags with weights on them, and I had to make sure that I could get all of those tomatoes in the pot to give you guys an accurate weigh-in of what went into the pot. So I totaled the math, and we have 38 pounds, 4 ounces of tomatoes in the pot. Let's see here. 38 pounds, 4 ounces right there in the corner. So, pot's on the stove, and I don't need to say too much else after this because you guys are going to watch the rest of the videos. So enjoy. Once all this is done and reduced, probably reduce it by about a third, because when you freeze your tomatoes, a lot of the water comes right out of them and you end up with kind of pulp and tomatoes, or tomato juice, which is kind of yellowy clear like water. So I got to reduce that down because I want it nice and thick. So yep, and when this is all done, depending on how long the making of this video lasts, I'm probably going to do a second video on pressure canning this, so you guys can see how we pressure can all this tomato sauce into quart jars and storing it away for long-term use. All right, let's get going. Right on. I've been waiting for this for like 2 months. All right, so this is what we're working with here. I've got a massive bowl of tomatoes. I've already had to put in the oven because they weren't totally defrosted from last night. So I just wanted to get them softened. I'm gonna have to take all the skins off because I don't have a food mill. So this is a huge bowl, okay? And this is the rest of the tomatoes that I'm working with. They're out here defrosting in the sun. So each bag has a pound in weights on it, right? So like you can see here, 4 pounds, 13 ounces, 2 pounds, 14 ounces. So when I get all the bags emptied, what I'll do is I'll total up a weight. I'll let you guys know how much tomatoes we're doing. I think it's probably around 30 pounds, but all right. So I know I haven't shown you guys what I've been growing in my backyard this year because I just haven't, but I still have pepper plants growing. So got these are bell peppers, nice and red, nice and ripe. Look at the color of that, they're gorgeous. So I've got some of these, and I'll show you the other peppers that I'll be using. And these are the other tomatoes I'm using, and these are Super Shepherd peppers. So there's a couple of bad ones on the plant, but that's okay. So they're long and thin, relatively hollow, and like that. So this is, we're gonna harvest some of these. So we'll harvest the red ones from here and the ones from out in the backyard, and we're gonna add these to the sauce. All right, guys, so here we are. We've got our cutting board. We've got some red bell peppers. We have some Super Shepherd peppers, and so we're just gonna chop those up like that, and we're gonna add them right into the big pot here. That's what you saw in the big metal bowl. So I've already skinned them, and I've just thrown them in here, and I'm just gonna let that start because I have all this juice. There's a lot of juice in here, so I got to start reducing it down. So we're going to get that on a pretty rolling boil, and it's going to evaporate a lot of that juice. I'm going to have to turn the hood vent on right here, but I can't do that while I'm filming because, I mean, it's just starting. You guys can see all the steam coming off. That's what you want. That's how you're going to get thicker sauce. And you know me, not letting seeds go to waste. So these are seeds from a super ripe red bell pepper, and they came from my backyard. There's no other peppers in my yard, so there's no way that these can be cross-pollinated by anything else. So that'll be a pure strain of pepper for next year. And then these seeds came out of, not that one, this super ripe Super Shepherd pepper, and those are from my balcony upstairs. So there's no way that they have been cross-pollinated. So Now I have enough pepper seeds for 2 different types of peppers for my entire garden next year. I'm going to have a bunch of different peppers, but anyways. Okay, so I'm not going to bore you. I'm going to chop all this up, add it to the pot. So all the peppers are in the pot. These are onions. I don't know, there's, what, 3 pounds-ish of onions here. I'm not putting them on the cutting board yet. I'm going to peel them first because there's a little bit of dirt and stuff on them. So we're going to, what we're going to do, we're going to peel them. We're going to dice them up. We're going to throw them in that fry pan with some olive oil, and then we're going to put a whole ton of garlic in there. All right, so here's the fry pan full of onions. There's probably a cup and a half of olive oil in here. And all we're going to do is we're just going to soften these onions down. And we're going to take some Genovese basil from the garden, and we're going to fire that in. All right, so we've got a big handful of Genovese basil in there. We're throwing a big handful of oregano in there. Next, we're going to take this huge whole clove of garlic, run it through the garlic press, and add that into that. Okay? All right. So onions, peppers, or onions, basil, oregano, olive oil, ready to go into the pot. Make sure you get all of it. That's Flavor Town right there. Because that olive oil is going to be infused with all those flavors now, so get every drop. Done. Just give that a stir. The sauce is already starting to thicken up. Some of that water from those tomatoes is already starting to evaporate out of there. And next, we're just going to add, we're going to add all that garlic into there. Last piece of garlic. There we go. Scrape that right off on the side of the pan. We'll just throw that in. All the bits and pieces from the garlic. Oh. And then when you're doing that, you always have a little bit of material stuck in the bottom there. It gets squished around, so you just kind of move it around with your finger, loosen it up, give it a bit of a squish. We're not wasting garlic here. Come on now. I don't know what kind of channel you think this is. We don't waste garlic. Stuff's like the spice of life. All right. Off of there. Okay. Garlic's done. So while that pot of sauce has been going, I've had all of these tomatoes. I don't even know how much this weighs. 15 pounds or something. They've been in the oven defrosting. And it makes it a lot easier. Watch, check this out. Watch what happens when they're defrosted. Okay, these are Romas. So you just grab it by the top, and I've already cut, before I froze them, I've already cut the top of the tomato off, right? Grab it, look at that, they just fall out. Look at how thin that is, you can see through it. There's nothing left in there. So now I'm just gonna work my way through this whole massive bowl of tomatoes. So right beside my feet there, I've got a yuck bucket. So we just plop these out like this. See, isn't that nice? No waste. Now, one of the next things I'm going to be buying is a food mill. So I don't have to go through this. I can just run all the tomatoes, everything that I'm going to make in the future right through the food mill. And it's going to definitely speed up the process. So there. All right, so you guys see what we're doing? So we're going to do that whole bowl, and as I just kind of fill this up, I'm just going to dump it into the pot. All right, so in goes the black pepper. About a 1/4 cup. In goes pink Himalayan rock salt. Going to do about that much. We're going to mix that all in. So as you can see, the level of sauce has definitely come up. So now I have all of the tomatoes in the pot. So I've got them out of the oven. Oven's off, elements are off. Now we're just gonna mix it. But as I'm looking through here, I don't think that there's enough basil in this sauce. So I'm gonna go get my jar of basil and we're All right, so it's not actually Green Towers basil, it's Emerald Towers basil. I need to relabel that. So these are the ones that came out of the dehydrator, and I've got this so packed like I can't even shake it out. So we're just gonna grab it by the clumps here. Okay, see, we're just gonna keep putting it in. There we go. There's about another cup of basil on top, because every good spaghetti, a little more for good luck. Every batch of spaghetti's got to have a nice basil flavor to it. We'll just stir that in. And then outside my front door, I have a curly basil, or a curly parsley plant. So I'm going to shut this camera off here in a second, and I'm going to go get a bunch of curly parsley and throw it in. I have lots and lots of dehydrated parsley, but the fresh stuff just has so much more flavor. So we've got a good handful of curly basil, or curly parsley. Okay, this stuff's my favorite out of the parsleys. So all we're gonna do is I just washed it. Just gonna chop it up, stems and all, just like that, into the pot. Kind of looks like broccoli when it's in my hand. Throw that in the pot. I also just threw in another handful of Greek oregano because, because that's why. Okay, now we're starting to look good. I've also made the executive decision that we're going to be putting some of my Applewood cold smoked homemade paprika in there. It's going to give it a slightly smoky flavor. Look at that. That's all we need, just one scoop.